bombs. What, you know, let me tell you something. There's a bomb, all right, in America. There's a bomb. It's called napalm. They used it in World War II. Do you know what napalm is? It burns the skin. It's a goo. It's like gel, all right? It burns the skin. They used it against the Germans in World War II when they bombed, aerial bombing of Dresden and Hamburg and these things. In Vietnam, they were using napalm. What the Viet Cong would do is in the village, they would make a big water basin. And so if the napalm hit them, people would get hit by napalm and they would run and go in and submerge themselves, and it would stop the effects of the napalm so their skin wouldn't burn. So you know what they did in the United States? They developed napalm that was waterproof. All right, we have people like that. They're sick people. They don't think about the moral implications of what they're doing. So the same is true. Greed, you know, the Arabs say, "At-tama' yudhib al-aql." Tama', greed makes the intellect go away. You can't think when you're greedy. Tama', you know, you can't think. So people are greedy, and you have to be aware, these people could care less about you or about your health. There have been many times where they know things are harmful and they hide it from the people. The tobacco industry knew that tobacco was addictive in the early 60s, and they hid it from people. We had class action suits in the United States. You know what the deal they made with the tobacco industry in the United States? This is all history. You can read all this stuff. The deal the United States government made with the tobacco industry in the United States of America is that we're going to shut down tobacco in the United States, but we'll make sure that you can export it around the world. You know where the biggest now markets for tobacco? China, India, the Arab world. We don't smoke in public. It's illegal in the United States of America to smoke in public. Illegal. You know why? La darar wa la dirar. Because secondary smoke is more harmful than primary smoke, so you're actually hurting other people. When I go into these Arab hotels here that are largely owned by Western companies, that in their own countries, they don't let them smoke. But here, they're all smoking, puffing away without any concern about anybody else. You know what Thailand, when Thailand tried to outlaw tobacco, do you know what America said? It would take away its favored nation status. Because this is just Machiavellian politics. They don't care about people. They care about profits and money. They care about their own people to a certain degree. They don't care about other people. They could care less if you guys all die of cancer. As long as they make a lot of money from selling Marlboro, you know, and convince you that the Marlboro man is something to emulate. In America, you know what our Marlboro commercials are? They show a cigarette that's wilted and they say cigarette smoking causes impotence because they want people to stop smoking. They don't have those ads over here. Seriously. Go ahead.
When a person he starts playing games and soon afterwards he becomes addicted. And when he hears that games are harmful, he tries to leave it, but it's impossible.
It's compulsory. That's a good question. Addiction's a problem. If you're addicted to something, most of the video addictions are low grade. A low-grade addiction is like tea or coffee. You can give it up with a little willpower. Cigarette nicotine is actually it's a high-grade addiction. It's very hard to give up nicotine. Some of the same things, because the brain, when you play video games, you get endorphic releases. So it's like a drug. Very similar to taking heroin or cocaine, has a similar effect. The same type of things are happening in the brain. So you want to do it again and again and again. But willpower is something God gave every human being. And the best thing that you could do, you have to get rid, the most important thing is to get rid of the stimuli. You have to remove it from the house. If it's in the house, you're going to be tempted. It's like an alcoholic who has a bottle of liquor in the cabinet. If he gets weak, he'll get tempted. The best thing to do is avoid it. Just don't get it out of the house. And there's times when you'll feel strong and say, I want to quit this thing. Those are the times when you should do it. And then you need help to be consistent. Find a friend who's willing to, you buddy up with him, and you both make a commitment together. We're not going to watch video games. Just do it for 6 months. Just do it for 6 months and see how your life changes. Make a commitment, I'm going to stop for 6 months. When Ramadan comes around, say, I'm going to stop TV altogether. 1 month, no TV at all, 0. People now, they watch more TV in Ramadan than they do in other times. You're wasting your time. Ramadan's a precious time. Ayam and ma'dudat. Ma'dudat is what's called jam'u qilla. You know, it's short days, few days. Go ahead, you.
Some people, like their body gets used to nicotine so much that if they try to quit smoking or something, they'll die. So are they supposed to at least smoke once a day just to stay alive, or?
Yeah, no, nicotine won't kill you. There's nothing, zero scientific evidence that giving up nicotine will kill you. But they do have serious withdrawal symptoms. For some people, you know, if they're addicted to smoking, then it's true. Nicotine can actually be like a, you know, like a medicine for them, because they get so nervous, so angry, so frustrated. But they have nicotine patches. There's other things that you can do. They have nicotine gum that people can chew, because smoking harms the lungs. You know, nicotine is not good, but it's better to chew nicotine gum than to smoke a cigarette. And it has a similar effect on the brain that smoking a cigarette does. But people can quit. Many people have quit cigarettes. You know, I'm fortunate. I never smoked. You know, a few times I had cigarettes when I was in high school. Just kids try, experiment, because other kids smoke it. But I played a lot of sports when I was in high school, so I never wanted to smoke. Go ahead, you. Yeah.
As you pointed that in Ramadan people watch TV more than any other normal day. But at that time many Muslim scholars start telling like saying about Islam. So why shouldn't we watch that?
I mean, if a program's worth watching like that, if it's a dars or something like that, then, you know, but I would prefer not. You can go to the masjid and hear a talk, or read a book, or listen to a tape cassette. There are other ways to get durus than television.
I want to ask you though, do you think the majority of parents have already, you know, got something in their house, like computers, you know, everything. Yeah. Do you think that in these types of cases that parents should exercise restriction, or just eliminate them completely from the household, even if they've been there and their kids have been used to them and all their friends, et cetera, et cetera?
For most people, to eliminate it completely is impractical. It's difficult, because now there's so many things tied to the computer. A lot of people's jobs are related to computer and internet access, things like that. For most people, it's going to be impractical. I know many people in the US, not just Muslims, I know many non-Muslims that just don't have it in the house because of the destructive effects that it has. A lot of the Waldorf parents will not have them in the house, things like that. But, you know, one of the things that is recommended is to have it in an open space. Don't have it in a private space where people can go. Even husbands, because we've got a problem with some of the men now that are getting addicted to things. In fact, I had a man ask me about it the other day, you know, that he was having trouble with that. We did a conference on pornography in Toronto before I did the paper at Princeton, and I was amazed at how many of the Muslim women in hijab came up to me afterwards and told me that they were having problems with their husbands. There are restrictions here, obviously. I think there's some internet control for those type things, but there's DVDs and there's other ways around that. So there are problems. But, you know, I would say have it in an open space with the screen facing a public, so like in a room where you can see the screen itself, so that when the kids go on it, you know what they're going on. And then also, obviously, you can check searches and things like that. So it's good to know what they're looking at. As they get older, trust is very important, you know, and to spy on your kids as they get older is actually a breach, and that can cause a lot of problems, because you're going to create a deceptive child. So it's dangerous to do that, I personally think. I trust my kids. I've sat down with them. I talked to them about it. I found some films once. I mean, they were more like just very violent films. And I sat down with my kids and I explained to them. I said, I'm out here combating against these things, and I can't have it in my house. When you guys turn 18, you're on your own. You can do whatever you want. But in my house, this isn't happening, and I trust you. I'm not going to talk about this again, but I trust you. And that's the way I do with my kids. I've never, and then I don't punish them if they do something wrong and come to me. I don't punish them. You know, one of my kids came to me and he just started crying. He was about 14, he started crying. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I went on the computer without your permission and looked at some, and he really felt bad about it. And I told him, I said, look, that is your damir. You know, it's your conscience talking to you. And always listen to that, because that will always be truthful. You know, so I just used it as an opportunity to encourage him that when he knows something's wrong, to respond to that. And don't ever be ashamed of that. That is the best thing that we have working inside of us, is that ability to know right from wrong and to admit our wrongs and then to commit to not doing it again. So, you know, that's what I would do. And you have to have some restrictions. You can't have an open, because kids are going to go on, and now they have all these, a lot of